AI seems to be just about everywhere these days, from chatbots in every service that you access to images filling up your Facebook feeds. Heck, even these glasses that I'm wearing displaying my script are using AI to listen to my voice and auto-scroll the text. For the last couple years, I've been asking the question, how is AI actually being used in businesses? And that search has led me here to Supermicro's headquarters in San Jose. They invited me down here to take a look at some of their current offerings and offer some insight into how businesses are actually integrating AI into their day-to-day operations. Let's get some answers. Today's video is sponsored by Supermicro. Welcome back to Craft Computing, everyone. As always, I'm Jeff. While AI has been the driving force in data center deployments for the last few years, most of us as consumers are only seeing the results in hyperscaler projects. Things like AI chatbots, image generation, and the like. But use cases for AI in businesses go far beyond LLMs summarizing your emails for you. Hospitals, retail stores, manufacturing, warehouses, logistics, they all generate a ton of data in the course of operating their business. Making actionable decisions based on available resources, demand, scheduling, and the like requires processing all that incoming data in real time. And rather than uploading all that data to the cloud to sort through, many businesses are investing in edge AI solutions to make that process happen in-house. Running AI on-prem means lower latency, lower bandwidth use, and faster access to your data, and your business can keep running even if the internet goes down. It also allows you to control the data you generate rather than relying on third-party sources to keep your data secure. Of course, deploying AI servers isn't as simple as dropping them into some back closet. As someone who managed IT services almost exclusively with small and medium businesses for nearly 15 years, believe me when I say that most businesses don't look like this in the background. In fact, my home garage has a better rack, better power, and better cooling than half the customer sites that I visited over my career. Like I mentioned at the top of the video, while most of the recent coverage around AI has centered around water-cooled 350,000 watt solutions, those are really only meant for hyperscalers. Edge AI servers aren't installed in purpose-built data centers with centralized cooling. They're installed in the back closets of stores or electrical rooms inside of a warehouse. And for installations like that, you need systems that are designed to run on air cooling, that don't need specialized power requirements, and that can fit into tight spaces and are both rugged and easy to maintain. And that's actually why I'm down here in the Bay Area with Supermicro. For the last couple years, with AI driving most new deployments, I've been looking to answer some questions. Number one, how is AI actually being utilized day-to-day in businesses? And number two, outside of hyperscalers and cloud providers, what hardware is actually being used?
Hi, I'm Mark Delvecchio. I am a Staff Solution Manager here at Supermicro.
So Mark, why are businesses choosing to implement edge AI solutions?
So as AI evolves, the number of use cases continually expands. We are seeing more and more of these use cases involving local data inputs for such things as cameras, which really lend themselves to edge processing. For video analysis, working real time can be very important. By placing the inference engines locally, the issues of lag and bandwidth constraints are alleviated. We find privacy concerns also drive edge AI adoption, with regulations such as GDPR in EU, CCPA here in California as examples. Customers need to be careful about where data is transmitted and ultimately resides.
From a consumer side of things, we typically equate AI as a chatbot that's been loaded into a service. But what are some use cases that businesses are actually using? Do you have any examples?
Customer service chatbots are just one example of an LLM or large language model. There are many other uses of LLMs. One example would be an internal large language model, which could be used as a company knowledge base. Instead of searching through piles of documentation, a user can ask a question and receive specific information about products and services offered by their company, making agents more efficient.
Do you have any company examples of someone who's actually implemented something like this?
Yeah, we have a great example. We had a warranty company approach us about handling their claims. They handle service requests for multiple companies and multiple products for each company, so there are a lot of SKUs to keep track of. Now, each SKU might have different warranty terms, different conditions, what's covered, whatnot, etc.
Sure.
So being able to efficiently search these product documentation was a problem for them because the agents would have to manually learn them and be able to remember them when talking to customers. By introducing an LLM, they were able to ingest all that documentation, and now agents can very efficiently search it, get the right information. And that not only helps to shorten or make a better customer experience, it also helps them on the back end with training new employees. That training time used to be very long because it's a lot of things to learn. Now they can use the LLM to more efficiently train their employees.
Sure. So instead of an employee needing to know exactly which manual to reference for which company policy and which SKU, they can simply ask the LLM a question and get that answer.
Exactly. They can ask in plain text, ask the question, and get the right answer.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So this obviously has some potential benefits for faster support from call agents, but are we seeing any other benefits from an implementation like this?
Yeah, of course. So you can also use LLMs to analyze local data from, say, a service desk, identify common problems. Then you can take those issues back to, say, manufacturers and make recommendations. We're noticing this part fail quicker than another. You may want to change your process or take a look at it.
Right.
So companies can take the data to improve product design. So if we're noticing a same part fail or same issue with a certain component, that can go back to the manufacturer for improvement of design. You can also take commonly asked questions by customers and turn them into a frequently asked question. You can do that dynamically so customers can self-serve a little bit better. There's other industries as well, such as life sciences and legal, that can also leverage LLMs to help their businesses and their operations as well.
For life sciences, legal, why is a self-hosted solution better? Wouldn't an LLM be more powerful if it was searching a larger database, maybe searching the internet for some answers?
Sure, and that's a common conception, but that's not necessarily, right? So for general questions, leveraging the entire internet for a data source can be very advantageous. But when you are narrow focused on a particular topic, you may want that data set to also be focused to avoid incorrect or non-relevant answers to be generated. If you've ever heard of the term RAG, common in AI lingo, this would be an example of where you would use that. You'd be loading in your own company's documentation or other relevant information into the LLM so that when you ask a question, the data set is focused on what you're trying to drill down on. It's not going to pull the general internet. It's going to be based off the very relevant information you want to feed into the model. So using that warranty company as an example, agents need very specific information on service terms of the product. If the LLM was using the entire internet to generate results, it can give you answers that are incorrect, or even worse, something, again, a common term with AI is hallucinations. It can give an hallucination where it didn't have all the data it needed, so it created it on its own. I mean, again, we are talking about generative AI. It is going to generate things.
Right.
And it's the quality of that generation that we chase after.
And if you give it too much information, it's going to pull from way too many sources and
Absolutely.
generate the wrong answer.
Absolutely, and it thinks it's doing the right thing for you. It's generating, but like I said, sometimes those results, especially if it's narrow focused of what you're looking at, it's a very specific field or topic, that could be an issue.
What kind of hardware are you seeing businesses adopting for LLM solutions like this?
So because a lot of these use cases we're talking about today are based off of edge inferencing, we're looking at our edge line of products here at Supermicro. We have very purpose-designed systems that are meant for the edge. They bring a lot of horsepower, both in traditional computation with CPUs and also AI acceleration via GPUs. They combine the latest Intel CPUs and also allow for the latest generation of GPUs for AI acceleration, such as from NVIDIA or other makers as well.
All right, so on to the fun part. What are we looking at here?
So what we have here is the SYS 322GA-NR. This is a 3U dual processor system. This features Intel Xeon 6 processors, the 6900 series, which are their most advanced processors meant for really tough workloads such as HPC or AI inferencing. Both of these sockets can hold processors that go up to 500 watts of TDP. The real power of this, though, for the AI inferencing side is the amount of discrete GPUs that this system can hold. It can either hold 4 600-watt GPUs, which are the latest and greatest GPUs out there, the most powerful out there, or this can hold 8 350-watt GPUs. So depending on what your workload needs, depending on what models you're running, you have your choice of those types of cards. I mean, this can handle pretty much anything you can throw at it.
Wow.
Yeah, really powerful system.
That's a lot of horsepower in actually a pretty small box.
For being 3U, and also, unlike a lot of our products, this is air-cooled. This doesn't need any special infrastructure or anything like that. It goes in a typical server rack, and your processing. I mean, this is the big boy.
Nice.
For sure.
So moving on down the line here, what is this little guy? Nice 2U box here.
Yeah, so we have our nice 2U box here. This is our SYS 212GB-NR. So this one's going to feature a single Intel Xeon 6 processor. This is going to be in the 6700 series.
Okay, so a little bit smaller.
A little bit smaller. Starts to balance power with efficiency for electrical use and whatnot. So this can go up to a 350 watt TDP on this socket here. Because it's 2U, it's going to hold slightly less discrete GPUs than the last system we looked at. So you're looking at up to 2 600 watt GPUs in this, or up to 4 of the 350 watt GPUs in this. So again, a lot of horsepower, a really strong inferencing machine. Just again, a little smaller of a form factor.
So we've been talking a lot about LLMs, but are there any other AI models that you're seeing businesses adopt, maybe not necessarily 100% text-based?
Sure. So a close relative of an LLM would be a VLM, and that's going to be a video language model. These types of models allow businesses to search video data using plain text searches, but instead of looking through documentation, these models are looking through videos. Now, these videos are going to be ingested either dynamically via a live video stream, or they're going to be ingested off of archival footage. And what you can do with these, you can identify people, objects, elements, actions, anything like that happening in the video, and then search for them later. Everything in that video is going to be indexed by the algorithm. So I think in a way, the real power of the VLMs is that you are creating the answers to questions that you haven't even asked yet.
What kind of industries are you seeing adopting video AI?
A lot of industries are adopting it. Specifically, we can talk about retail, supply chain, and security. All those industries are actively using VLMs.
How are you seeing it being implemented in retail, for example?
Sure. So for in-store analytics, there are a myriad of use cases for AI computer vision. You have your more basic, your more traditional metrics such as number of people in the store, average time spent in the aisles, how long did they wait for a cashier, that kind of thing. But more advanced actions that you can do with an ALM is searching if the customers came into your location with bags from other retailers, which could be of interest. What were the products that were most often picked off the shelf, but then put back and not ultimately purchased? How long did boxes sit in the back room before they were distributed by the staff? So those kind of more advanced analytics are what we can achieve with a VLM. On the security side, loss prevention is a very common use case that we see at the edge for retail. Instead of having to manually search through hours of video footage to find evidence for law enforcement, you can just simply ask the VLM for footage based on an uploaded picture of the person or other identifying characteristics.
So yeah, let's say you catch someone live in the act of shoplifting. Rather than having an employee have to manually scrub through all, thousands upon thousands of hours of footage, you can simply ask it, hey, when was this person in our store last? How many times have we seen him?
Exactly.
Anything like that.
Exactly. So maybe you're catching them for the first time, or maybe they've gotten away, for several times and you hadn't realized it yet. So It's very, very, very powerful tool.
So you mentioned something really interesting, that you could do analysis based off, pre-recorded or archival footage, or you could do like live video analysis. Which one are you seeing being utilized more by these businesses?
I would say both. I think the real power of AICV really comes through when it's analyzing live video, because you can make real-time decisions, actions, alerts based off of what's going on in the video. But you also have the ability to do forensic searches on ingested after the fact video as well. So depending on the use case, what you're doing will dictate whether you want to do live or you want to look at ingested video after the fact. But again, both are very relevant and both are actively used by retailers.
Gotcha. Yeah. And as far as like algorithms based, like obviously you can ask the VLM text-based questions, when was this person seen last?
Right.
But are there any like automated processes for live video analysis?
Absolutely. So you can have areas of the store that maybe are restricted. You can say, hey, send an alert if I see someone walking into this area. You can do the same thing with loitering. Hey, these 3 people have been outside the store for quite some time. Why are they still there? Maybe the manager needs to go out and talk to them.
Right.
Or there could be a delivery truck out back that came early and nobody knew it was there and the driver's waiting to unload. You can have an alert so an associate knows to go outside and get the delivery going.
Absolutely.
So all kinds of different workflows. I mean, in the end, AI is powerful, but the workflows behind it are really what make it a useful tool for businesses.
So what other kind of like live analytics are we seeing? Are we able to see like someone putting something in their pockets? Are we able to see backpacks being carried into the stores?
Yeah, absolutely. So you also have your in-aisle loss prevention use cases as well, where you're looking for someone, loading up their jacket with whatever product that may be, or just, it could also be behavioral, where you see the same person pacing up and down the same aisle, suspicious behaviors where nothing has happened, no crime is being committed, but it could be enough to say, hey, let's send the manager over to this aisle and just see what's going on.
Right, that's not typical shopper behavior.
Right, exactly. Looking for those out of normal behaviors where if it would take a security guard watching. It would be very difficult for them to pick up on that with all the different cameras that might be in a location.
Right.
Well, when we have AI watching it, it's a different story. It can watch every camera. It never needs a break. It doesn't get tired. And it's honestly, it's much better at finding things than we are as people. And the cameras, remember, are not just in the store. They're going to be outside the store as well. So that's where we can talk about vehicle analytics. Again, is a truck in a loading zone after hours? Why is it there? Did a delivery arrive early? Okay, let the stock person know to go out and greet them and get that delivery into the store so we can start selling.
Sure.
And also you can look at parking lot analytics. Again, just like people analytics in the store. How many people are here? How busy is it? It's the same thing for the outside, right? So we can analyze your parking lot. How often is it full? What times of day is it filling up? Are you noticing that the way that the traffic's being routed is problematic? Those kind of things as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you can also look at, hey, there's vehicles parked here overnight that shouldn't be. There's,
Exactly.
things going on in the parking lot that shouldn't be happening in the
Exactly.
parking lot.
And a lot of our customers who are the big box retailers have exactly that problem.
And obviously that data can be identified live or searched manually by an employee after the fact, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole purpose of the VLM, much like an LLM, is to make the data easily searchable and provide insights. So whether it's live or it's historical video, either way.
Now you mentioned, the back room of a retailer, but what about like warehouse or logistics operations? Where are you seeing AI being implemented maybe for forklift operation or backstock options?
Absolutely. So when you look at warehouses or distribution centers, they have a lot of issues too that they can solve with VLMs. It can be, utilization of equipment, like you mentioned, like a forklift. How often are the forklifts out on the floor versus being parked? Are the employees wearing their protective gear that's supposed to be like a high-vis vest, a hard hat, that kind of thing? You can look at the employees going up and down the aisles. Are certain aisles overutilized or underutilized? What's the average amount of equipment or product that people are bringing back with them? There's all kinds of really interesting analytics. So, the loading dock as well. Again, how many times are trucks waiting to unload their cargo to the warehouse or distribution center? How can we make that more efficient? How often was a truck waiting on a forklift to be available?
Right.
Those kind of things. So all those those efficiency operations are very relevant use cases for retailers and on their back end, on their supply chain operations. And VLMs, again, they'll alleviate the person having to watch all those different video cameras and you learn from them. Let the VLM ingest all that information and then just do simple searches.
Now, obviously, in situations like retail or warehouses or whatnot, I don't see them with large sprawling data centers on the edge. What kind of hardware are we seeing in these types of deployments?
So again, those kind of use cases, especially anything that's going to be using camera for analytics, you're going to want to do that inferencing at the edge, which means you're going to need edge systems. And again, Supermicro, we have a large line of edge systems that are purpose-built exactly for that. Again, they have the combination of a lot of horsepower for traditional compute, the ability to take in those discrete GPUs for AI acceleration, and they also have the right form factors to fit those locations. Like you said, it's not going to be a nice, neat data center. We're talking it's going to be screwed onto a wall. It's going to be in a two-post rack. It's going to be on a shelf. And it has to have those environmental ranges that it can handle, not nicely conditioned air. It could be the back of a warehouse where it can get kind of warm.
Right.
And also if you've ever been in a warehouse, you know what forklift dust is.
Yes.
And that you have to keep those kind of things out of the systems. So we have filters on our systems. And really, they're meant to live at the edge in non-optimal environments.
Sure. Let's take a look at some of them.
Okay, great.
So again, back over to the hardware shelf here. This is a nice short depth little box. What are we looking at here?
So this is our SYS212B FN2T. As you mentioned, it's 2U, but it is a lot shorter than a traditional data center system. So this is a short depth system. Again, the idea here is this is going to the far edge. So it's not going into a data center rack. It's going into whatever conditions happen to be at the site, the warehouse, the back of the retail location, whatever it may be.
Right.
So the form factor kind of matches the needs of the location. So it's going to be that shorter depth. This can go in a two-post rack. It can be mounted on a wall. It can go on a shelf. It's supposed to be it's compact, but it has the horsepower to still do the job. So in this guy, you're going to have an Intel Xeon 6 processor. It's either going to be a 6700 or a 6500 series system. Again, going for more efficiency than the unbridled power of the 6900 series. Now we're going for more power and efficiency.
Right. So you can choose either P or E core in this box.
That's correct. So depending on what the workload is and depending on the conditions at the site, you can choose either of those. Of course, the more power you have, typically the more heat it's going to generate. So the system has to be sized appropriately to work correctly when ambient temperatures. We can't assume data center conditions here.
Right, right.
So again, powerful box, small form factor. So you have the Intel Xeon 6 processor here, but also I want to point out that you have room in the system, even though it's only 2U, you have room for 2 full-size 350 watt GPUs for AI acceleration.
Okay,
All in
nice.
all in a compact form factor here.
Now, one thing we mentioned is, not going into a data center, a little bit harsher environment, some of that forklift dust. You mentioned
Yes.
maybe some dust filtration can go on.
Yeah,
this.
absolutely. So in those environments where there are particulates in the air that you have to be concerned with, we can fit an air filter onto this guy to help protect the systems from being affected by that.
Awesome. So lower maintenance, lower total cost of ownership.
Longer service life.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, and then last but not least, we've got another short depth 2U right here. What's the story with this one?
So you notice it's very similar to the last system we talked about, but this is our SYS212B FLN2T. So very similar chassis. Again, it's going to feature that single Intel Xeon 6 processor. Again, it's going to be either the 6700 or the 6500 series, featuring the P and the E cores. So depending on your workload, you do have those options. The main difference here you're going to see is the configuration of the expansion slots. Now, where in the other system, we could put 2 350 watt GPUs into this one's configured differently. So in this one, we'd either put a single 600 watt GPU into this slot, or we can load up with 7 72 watt GPUs using low profile cards.
Right, I was noticing that.
Yeah, so depending on what models you're running, some need more memory bandwidth, some are more about processing power. So this allows you to have that kind of ability to adjust to the workloads you're going to be running on it. So again, it has that Intel Xeon 6 processor, 67 or 6500 series, but it just has that different expansion capability for the GPUs.
Right, and obviously this one can hold a lot of the small form factor cards, and so if you're divvying up your workloads across multiple cards, or maybe just aiming at a lower power target overall.
Absolutely, absolutely. This system will give you that flexibility.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So we covered a lot of different solutions today, and a lot of different respective hardware for that, but I can see this being a little bit overwhelming if you're new to the world of AI, specifically Edge AI. Are there any solutions out there that might help someone navigate some of the choices?
Absolutely, AI to the rescue, right? So yeah, there are AI tools that can help right size, intelligently engage the AI workloads and match them with the appropriate pre-validated hardware. This helps to avoid undersizing or oversizing a system, which can have a direct impact on the ROI of a project. Sure. And again, if you're a retailer, you're going to be very sensitive to that. That TCO and that ROI are critical to any project you're going to go through. So having pre-verified blueprints that have already been validated on Supermicro systems, that helps tackle the complexity of, say, multimodal AI by providing pre-made accelerated pipelines that combine multiple sensor inputs such as cameras we talked about, audio and text. This saves time, and again, it speaks to that TCO, being able to do that efficiently.
Now you mentioned multimodal AI there. Is that something that you see being used at the edge?
Yes, absolutely. So some of the big names in the AI space, like Google, for example, are publishing tools that enable developers to write multimodal pipelines specifically for the edge. If the data input is being collected at the edge, then doing the inference at or near that location can make a lot of sense. Of course, to do that, you're going to need some of the purpose-designed edge servers that we have talked about today.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been really helpful and insightful. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
And thank you to Supermicro also for having me down here. This helped answer a lot of my questions about where AI is actually being used at the edge and why we're not seeing necessarily all the advancements on the consumer side of things, but they are being there and utilized on the business side. If you have any interest in some of the hardware that we showed off today, I will have links down in the video description, or you can visit supermicro.com for more info. Thanks everyone for watching, and as always, we'll see you next time. Cheers, everyone.